Of We See You podcast powered by AZYCO, Arizona Young Credit Union Professionals. Today I'm with Robb Scott. Welcome
Hi,
to the
Luis.
podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you. Good to be here.
I would like to start by if you can start introducing yourself, who you are, what your background is in, so people get an idea of what this is going to be about.
Sure.
And just keep in mind that our audience is young professionals.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for having me. I'm Robb Scott, CEO for 25 years at Copper State Credit Union.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in credit unions my whole career since graduating NAU. Kind of went up the finance route. So I was
Oh,
a
you went to
CFO.
NAU too?
Yeah, at NAU
Oh,
too.
me too.
So
That's nice.
and my kids went there too. So I got to
Okay,
pay them 3 times instead of one.
nice.
So just come up on the finance side and enjoy being part of credit unions. My first job out of school was at a corporate credit union, Corporate Credit Union of Arizona. So I got to learn how credit unions operated from that perspective. And then I went on to work at Arizona Central Credit Union as a CFO, and then got the CEO job at Deer Valley Credit Union, and we since have merged and changed our names to Copper State. So this is my 25th year. I'm really excited to be here. It's been a fun ride, and I've learned a lot along the way. Hopefully, I can share a few of those things today.
What was your major in NAU?
Accounting. Yeah,
Accounting.
accounting. Yeah.
Okay, and your kids, are any of them
Yeah,
business
both of
majors?
them went to NAU, and they both got accounting degrees, and
Okay,
they went on to get master's degrees too. So I
okay. I
guess
wonder if I crossed paths with.
it could have.
I
And
finished last year.
oh yeah, they're a little bit older. They're 30 and 28, or
Okay,
31 and 29. So
okay. So probably not.
they're in fraternities up there, Delta Chi. So they enjoyed the work part of school, but they played hard too, and with Delta Chi and had
Oh,
fun up
that's
there.
good.
So yeah.
That's good. And when it comes to your journey from where you started until now, was there a point in your career, I would say, especially when you were starting, that you were having a hard time balancing ambition with patience? And how do you do it
Hmm.
if it ever happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think growing up, I'm a Gen X guy, so growing up, we just kind of got up every day and left it on the field and did our best that day and went home and started a family and did those things and didn't really think too much about it. Just really paid attention to kind of being in the moment and doing the best job I could, and tried to leave things I couldn't control, you know, on the side. I didn't have any control of what jobs would open up. Like if
Yeah.
I was the accountant at corporate credit union, I didn't have any control of when the controller was going to retire or, when positions would open up. So
Yeah.
I really tried to be the best I could be every day and let the chips fall. So again, I was impatient like everybody, but um, I'm also kind of a creature of habit. I've been with the same credit union for 25 years.
Okay.
I married my high school girlfriend, so I'm kind of a loyal guy. I like consistency. I like investing time and attention into one thing and being really good at doing that
Uh-huh.
instead of kind of spreading around too thin. That's just me. Everybody's
Hmm.
different that way. That's how I operate.
That's good. How are you able to balance all the responsibilities that you had, like with your wife, with your kids, with your work, right?
Yeah.
At the time of your career, before you got a CEO job, how are you balancing all of that?
That's a great. It's tough, Every day, we would have like a kid would you shove popcorn in his nose, and he'd have to go to the doctor or whatever. So yeah, I always put my family first and foremost. God, family, country, job. So just being really clear about what are my priorities and
Uh-huh.
using that as a filter. I don't always do that, but it's a way for me to filter things that are more important out for the day, for instance. So, um, I guess just getting up and figuring out what's a priority
Mm-hmm.
today and tackling those things. You always have a long list of to-do items.
Mm-hmm.
It's just important, I think, to make sure the ones you work on are the most important ones.
Okay.
Because sometimes we get in a habit, I do anyway. I want to mark off the easy stuff first,
Uh-huh.
and then leave the hard stuff for last. But I've just noticed, in my career, tackling and putting time into the hard stuff really pays off at the end for
Okay.
whatever that means to a young person. Because you have more things to think about. You have social media. You have a lot of pressures that I didn't have early in my career. I didn't have the whole world watching whatever I was doing all
Uh-huh.
day and at night, where I was, who I was with. Like you guys have to think about all that stuff
Do you have
more
social media?
more than I did. I mean, I'm not a big fan. I think it's important to have to get the news out and to let the people be in charge of what's said out there in the public square. So I
Hmm.
like it. I appreciate it. I'm just not a big user of it. So
Okay. I was kind of the opposite, and recently I deleted all my socials
did you?
just because I was like, I was just falling into that trap of comparing myself to people that are like, I don't know, 20, 40 years ahead of
Right.
me, or even like comparing to people that I have no clue who they are, or you
Yeah.
see like by age 25 or by age 40 you should have like all of these, and you're like, according to who? Anyone
Right.
can say that, right? I can say that too if I want to
It's
create a
so
post
true.
like that. So it was just getting like kind of unhealthy for me, that I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I just want to stay apart from it, because what am I feeding my brain with,
Right.
right? So I just deleted it, but I still have LinkedIn. That's the only
Okay.
one that I kept.
That's good.
Yeah, but I understand where you're coming from, because sometimes it's just too much and it can get chaotic sometimes.
Well, it's good that you have, a perspective about it. You can kind of rise above it and look at it and say, is this a good thing for me today to be involved in? And, I think we all could do a better job asking ourselves that. Like I said, that's just the additional pressures that your generation, younger people have that we didn't have to worry about. I'm not sure like shutting everything off is the right answer. Like that's what I don't have any social media, so
Uh-huh.
I don't mean to be hypocritical, but I think staying involved in it. I think comparison. There's a saying, I can't remember the name. I can't remember it, but comparison kind of takes the joy out of everything, right?
Uh-huh.
So if we compare ourselves to other people we graduated with and maybe they got a promotion before we did or they bought a house before we did, I just think that takes away the joy of life, right? And
Mm-hmm.
even if we have to fake it, sometimes even me, I pretend to be happy for somebody when I'm somewhat jealous that they've succeeded more than me, or they make more money. But after, thinking about it, I try to say to myself, good for them. They deserve it. And it doesn't have anything to do with me. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just hard. It's a hard
Yeah.
thing to do. So good luck on your journey with social media stuff.
Yeah, right. I'll see how long it lasts. I
Yeah,
wanna.
exactly.
Hopefully, it's gone forever, but we'll see. We'll see.
Uh,
And was there a moment in your journey in which you realized that, hey, I'm becoming a leader, even though that probably you didn't have that title of a leader? How was it?
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm the oldest of four kids, and I think your birth order matters. So if you're kind of the older sibling in your family, you're expected, and it's kind of part of your growing up is to be a leader of the family to some extent. And then I played sports my whole life, so I was always on a team, and we always had team goals, and I just recognize that I prefer to be a leader. I prefer to take the shot at the end of the game. I prefer to be part of something good and a successful endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just for me, it's just a God's given gift to be a leader or to raise my hand to say I want to be in charge. But yeah, I think it's an important point you make. Even if you're not a manager or a
Mm-hmm.
VP, um, you're still a leader, whether you realize it or not. So
Uh-huh.
and that's one of the most important jobs we have in life is being a leader and doing good with that. We have a lot of leaders that are bad leaders, right? And they don't do things to help improve society or life in general. they lead in a bad way. So we have plenty of examples of that. But
Hmm.
just being a leader and taking people to good places, I think, is such an important job that
What
we
sport
all
do you
have.
play?
Yeah, football and baseball. So
Baseball.
yeah,
Nice.
I played quarterback in high school, and we were it was at Cortez High School, a smaller school, so you didn't have to be 6'5". Like you'd be good quarterback at your size. You're a big, tall guy, but so so that's kind of a natural leadership role on a
Uh-huh.
team. So
When you
uh,
talk about leadership, how important is it to be a great teammate? Because sometimes as leaders we're like, oh, we want to make sure that all of this gets done. Yeah, but you also need to take into consideration not only the result itself, but also how you're handling that communication portion with your team, right?
yeah, it's
Because
good.
you want to make sure that everyone, so at the end of the day, you want everyone to do what you want without you even needing to ask,
Yeah,
right? Like
absolutely.
kind of like bringing all the intrinsic motivation into play.
Good
How
point.
have you been able to handle that?
Yeah, I think that's like you said with the football team or calling a play or in business, like what is our plan for the week or for the month is really being clear about where we're going so that people don't have to struggle with, well, what's important for me today. They already know what we're trying to go after. What's the rules of the game? How do we win the game? You know, whatever our endeavor is. I think being clear about that up front really helps people, prioritize and figure out what they're going to do every day. Because if that's unclear, or if we don't have a bold goal or something great that we're working on, you just lose people's interest. Because what's the
Hmm.
point, right? If there's nothing big or a big problem to tackle, or if there's not a big opportunity to take advantage of, life's too short to work on stuff that doesn't matter. So we need to make sure, what we're doing is important. I think
Yeah.
that helps a lot. The other thing too is just, I think we have a tendency as humans we're in our head all day, right? So we do things to make us feel better, do better. But if we can kind of shift it to what can I do for my team as a servant leader? What can I do to make their lives better or their jobs easier? Then that's going to make them better, perform better, and therefore I'm going to perform better as a leader of a team. So I think we could spend more time making sure people are well taken care of on that side.
Yeah, I
But
agree with that. When you're building your teams, what are the things that you pay the most attention to? Like when you're building your team with your VPs, with your directors, like basically all the way from top to bottom, what
yeah.
are the things that you pay the most attention to?
It's a good question. I think, I've done this a long time. So I used to look for skill. Like if we had an open position, executive like a finance or CFO, I'd want to go try to find the best CFO, like tactical guy or gal that knows financials, knows audit, knows and I'd bring that person in and then hope that it'd be a good culture fit. I kind of take the opposite point. I mean, people have to have a minimum skill set, and I want a certain degree of education, experience. Those are all extremely important, but they have to fit in culturally. Like they have to understand that we're a credit union, we're in it for our members, we're in it for our team members. So just a good culture fit to me is the most important. So when it's a high level management position, we make sure to go to dinner with them, talk to them about what's important to them, how do they handle situations, because at the end of the day, we don't have to like each other, but respect each other and be able to work well together. I think is
Hmm.
the most important thing.
What would you say is the main difference between being liked and being respected, and how do you
Yeah,
value each of
that's a
them?
good. I think being liked, people can see that. They can see through somebody's trying to be nice or trying to be liked versus, you know, people seeing somebody as a leader doing the right things, coming in early, putting in the work, treating people well, focusing on the important stuff. staying positive. Like people see that authenticity, and I think they want to follow that person if it's natural. I think as humans, we're good at seeing through somebody's inauthenticity and
Uh-huh.
not being true. So I think we all have our radars on for that. That we
Hmm.
can pick that out
Yeah.
pretty well. So
What would you say is the biggest mistake that you see young professionals make when trying to grow their careers?
I think, like you said before, maybe being a little impatient and expecting, promotions quick and often. I think the other thing I don't see enough, and I appreciate the interview today, but I rarely get asked from young people, you know, how did you how did you handle this situation, or how did you become CEO, or what are some tips and tricks that you try to live by, to improve your professional career? Like I just don't see enough, and my kids included, or people at my work too. Like I don't see folks asking successful people how they got there. I mean, it doesn't mean you need to copy their story, but just being curious about what makes somebody successful. How did they get to where they're going? Because I think learning and figuring out somebody's story, a success story, you can learn a lot from that. And take some of
Hmm.
those learnings and make your career better. So I just wish more young people would ask the elders about, how did you get there? What are some things I could take from that? So that would be my ask.
Will you say the CEO job is fun?
I love it. So good. Yeah. Um, you know, there's something about everybody's livelihood being dependent upon you, and to some extent. In a credit union, we're kind of insulated from that because we have professional board of directors. So, like, I can't mess up too badly as CEO. There's a lot of rules and regulations and all
Hmm.
that, but still, every decision I make, every priority that we decide is a priority, it impacts, for us, 150 people in our credit union. For you guys at your credit union, much bigger. Anything Mike decides to do as CEO, I mean, those have ripple impacts, whether good or bad. So I think the pressure, the excitement of that is, that's what I love about it. Being in the arena, playing the game,
Hmm.
have an important role. It doesn't have to be CEO. I just like having an important job to do. A reason to get up and try to make a difference.
The
So
other day I read a quote that says, as a leader, people will, I'm trying to remember how it was, but as a leader, people will always remember your, it was in Spanish, I'm trying to translate it
yeah,
in my
yeah.
mind. People will always remember your undecision. Is that a
Hmm.
word? Like
Uh,
people will always remember you not making a decision,
right.
but they, if you mess up with a decision, people will forget eventually, but they will
True.
never forget the
Right.
fact that you didn't make a decision when you
That's
were
true.
supposed to.
Yeah, you're kind of like stymied. You can't. You're stuck between what decision to make,
Uh
and
huh.
and yeah, I think people count on leaders to be decisive.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can. That's another thing. For young professionals that I would recommend highly is just taking more chances and being comfortable being uncomfortable, and making
Hmm.
mistakes. I think that's so important. And I know I see it a lot where the younger folks they're afraid to make a decision, or afraid to fail. And I would just like to see more, bold steps and taking chances,
Okay.
and not being as cautious
Okay.
and careful. I think,
I'll take that one for myself.
yeah,
I think I'm too
we
cautious
all are,
sometimes. Yeah.
but and I like to use the example like public speaking, right? And you're very well spoken, so you don't have this problem. But most people in the world are terrified to talk to people, public speaking. So my advice is just raise your hand and do more of it, and you'll look silly a couple times maybe, but the more you do it, the better you get, and
Hmm.
just keep taking at bats like baseball. You're not going to hit every ball, but just keep swinging, keep trying.
You're gonna hit a home run eventually,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Take a shot. So
So you're saying the CEO job is fun, but I assume that sometimes you have into situations that are challenging. Can you
sure.
tell me an anecdote about how you have solved or how you have navigated a really, really hard situation?
Yeah, and I'm trying to stay. There's a lot of like every week seems like there's some big thing that comes up, but
Hmm.
um, when we went through our merger of equals, you know, it was so volatile about, trying to bring two CEOs together, two board of directors together, two senior teams together. So just being really super focused on all the little things that could happen and try to navigate that. One day, one of the managers would say, this is the best way forward. And the other team would say, no, this is the best. And so there was constant battles between ideas. So just trying to get everybody's input, um, and try to navigate that and manage that was probably the biggest challenge that I've had in my career is merging two credit unions
Okay.
together. And it wasn't all about me. It was about everybody, ideas, processes, systems, all that was on the table
Okay.
for negotiation. Because when you have two equal credit unions, having to negotiate that was
How often do you negotiate?
quite a bit. I like that part. Whether it's vendors or employees, or that's a fun part of the job, is trying to get to, if you have A or B, there's somewhere in the middle we got to get to, and I think it's fun trying to figure that out.
Uh-huh.
Like when you go negotiate the purchase of a car, like most people hate that, but I actually love it. I think it's
But
fun.
it's fun,
It's
right?
fun. It's like a game. It's like a game. So
Uh-huh. I
and there's
recently
there's different tactics too. You can come
uh-huh.
you can come aggressive, or you could be kind of quiet for a while. So there's different ways to
Yeah.
negotiate. But did you have something you had to negotiate recently? That
My wife's car. So
okay,
yeah, and it was fun, but it was so stressful that I even
yeah,
lost some sleep over it. But it was all good. And I was gonna tell you that I recently read a book called The Negotiator or El
okay,
Negociador in Spanish
yeah,
by Arturo Elias Ayub. I don't know if you have.
yeah. I think I've heard of that. I haven't read it, but
He's a son-in-law of Carlos Slim.
okay,
He's one of the. He was at some point the richest man in the world.
okay, yeah,
He's
yeah,
from Mexico. He owns like a lot of companies. So he was
nice,
he was in Shark Tank Mexico.
okay, nice,
Yeah, so Arturo Elias was the author of that book, and he was saying about how often people negotiate, and
mm.
I can't remember the exact number, but it was dozens of time in that day.
That they don't even know that they're doing that.
Because even if you're a kid, like, and let's say that you or a teenager and you want to go to a party,
Yeah,
you're gonna negotiate something with your mom or
that's
with your
true.
dad, right? Like, hey, I'll do the dishes for a week, but let me go to this party. What if your mom says 10 days, not a week?
Yeah,
Okay, done. That was
right.
a negotiation right there, right?
Good call. You start early doing that. That's
Uh-huh.
fun.
So that was one of the things that I enjoy about that book, and he was sharing like a lot of anecdotes.
Hmm.
And one thing too, before we finish this episode, that I wanted to ask you was about the habits that you personally have
Oh yeah,
that helps you keep your mind in a really sharp way for you
yeah.
to be able to do your job.
Good call. Yeah, and I just like to point out too on negotiations as well. It sometimes people feel like it has to be me versus you,
Hmm.
and trying to take the personal part out of it, I think helps a lot. So it's if you and I are talking about where we're going to go to lunch, and you know, it's not a win lose. It has to be win win.
Uh huh.
Whether it's maybe a little bit weighted my way, I like that, but um, it can still be win win. Doesn't have to be win lose.
Yes. Uh huh.
And I think if we keep that in mind, it helps. I was going to say something. What was your question on?
About the
Oh,
habits that you
habits.
have.
Yeah, I mean, I think about habits a lot. I think it kind of drives us and makes us better. So uh, I have this motto. It's get up, dress up, show up. So I read an article, 100-year-old lady, and they asked her what's the secret of your success, and she says, I just get up every day, I get dressed up, and I show up to wherever I'm going. So I'm present, and so I try to live by that, just to make sure I had the right mentality for the day. So I get
Okay.
up early, I get dressed up, whether I'm at home or I'm going to work. I'm one of the few people that still wears a tie. I don't today, but
Mhm.
when it gets 100 degrees, I don't wear the tie.
Yeah.
So those are my habits.
Okay.
I pray a lot. I know this isn't a religious broadcast, but I have a lot of faith in God, and I count on that every day as well.
Okay. Do you
Right,
have
right before big meetings or whatever, just give it to Him and ask for help. So
That's
those
good.
are my good habits. I would say.
Do you have a morning or night routine?
Yeah, this morning, just same thing. Get up, try to work out, get something to eat, and head off to work as quick as I can. I try to get there first, but everybody's beating me lately. It must be slacking.
Oh, really?
So,
That's funny.
uh,
I think these are all the things that I wanted to talk to you about today. But before we finish this episode, I wanted to give you the opportunity to share something with young professionals that you consider that it would be important for us to know.
yeah, thanks. I really appreciate you having me. Just the fact that, like I was saying before, um, people are listening to podcasts, listening to you, trying to get better and trying to figure out, what's the next thing they could work on. So I just admire and would encourage everybody just to keep asking questions, be curious, whether you're traveling the world or you have a coworker next to you that has has a everybody has a story, everybody has a life, everybody has things that they do that make them successful. It doesn't mean you have to adopt them, but just learning about people and being interested in them, connecting, caring about people. I think you got the young professionals in credit union land that I've met, yourself included, the ones back at my office. Man, they're very passionate about credit unions. They're passionate about helping people. It's just a perfect fit, I think, with young professionals and our credit union industry, because we're so lucky to be in a business where it's not a charity and it's not a for-profit business. Like, we're right in the middle there. So we can afford to take our time and make sure what we're doing every day is impactful and meaningful for people. And it's not, just making income for the stockholders, or it's not just a charity where we're just, giving everything away. I think
Hmm.
we're fortunate to be in the credit union business. And I would just encourage young professionals, just make a career out of credit unions. It's a great industry. There's a lot of competition. You can use technology, marketing, communication skills. Just invest in a long career in credit unions. I think it would be a very rewarding career. So,
Okay, that's great.
yeah, good luck.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much
Luis.
for being with us today, Rob, and for everyone who's listening. Share this episode with someone, and yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Rob.
Luis. Nice to meet
Great
you. Thank
podcast.
you.